Holy shit.
That looks so sick.
It is. This is certainly the coolest detour of our plans ever. It's like you take one plan with the IndyCar and the other plan with all of our rotaries and mix them together, and you find something that I never knew existed. So we're in the middle of kind of like San Monica area because of this. Oh, that is cool.
Whoa.
That is really cool. We have purposely wanted to like reveal it for ourselves.
We haven't even seen it.
Yeah, this is a Formula Mazda. I didn't know that they made them. I didn't know that there was ever a rotary engine open wheel car. That is badass.
It's bigger than I thought it would be.
It's both smaller and bigger. It's hilarious. Quite frankly, you give a normal guy like me an Indy car, either A, you're gonna get killed, or B, you're gonna putt around and never actually get into the aerodynamic mode it's supposed to be in. This is almost the perfect combination of things to make me a better driver. And rotary is the answer for everything in my life. And this is so cool. So we'll go over all the details of it in a second, but I'm going to tell Joel to just pause the camera because I'm going to just stare and appreciate it.
Your paint. No. Here's it. There's this key right here. I just toss it down there because it falls out unless it's on.
Yeah.
So you just do that. I'm gonna pull this off. Like,
ooh.
Yeah, so
But you don't need to pull that off to start it, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I like it because you can give the throttle a couple pumps because it's carbureted. So
Yeah,
I always pull it off. Yeah.
It's so wild. So I have the Lincoln Continental. That's my only other carbureted car, but this is the first carbureted rotary.
That's so crazy looking.
Yeah. That's the starter. The IndyCar has like this like Gatling gun that you plug in to the back of it. Yeah, but this one at least has the starter.
Yeah, no, this is pretty easy to start. Fuel pump. You kind of wait for it to slow down a lot.
Okay.
And then, you know, it's got the good pressure.
There we go.
When it's going like that. I just give it like 2 pumps, crank it for a couple seconds, give it 2 more pumps, then it pretty much always starts.
And make sure it's in neutral.
Yeah.
It is. We'll know when I start doing this.
I ran over my own
great.
Alright. And then I give it like a couple more and it usually fires up.
Plus it hasn't been started in a month at least.
That's just what everybody does for some reason with these cars. They cut the fuel. They don't cut the ignition. It's got a crazy throttle response. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This little smoke that's coming from outside of the shifter thing, it's like it drops like a bit of oil every so often.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
That's normal.
it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Our rule of thumb is like if it's leaking oil, it means it has oil.
Yeah, there you go. It's super easy to fill up.
Oh, that's fine.
Transmission oil. I got some oil in there.
Do you run like 91 on this or what?
Yeah, it's just 91.
Okay.
And then you mix it.
Premix, right? Yeah.
Hang on to this book, and there's another one I can show you, but it has a lot of the information. So it has like a great baseline setup for you. compression, height of the car from the ground. They say they can run this car can run 87.
Yeah.
That's how like solid these things are, but just run 91.
Yeah. This is exactly why I wanted to get something like this, because like even with the IndyCar,
Yeah.
I have no documentation.
Yeah.
And it's like because it's a race team with professional like secrets.
Yeah.
Like it's not a spec car like
It's
this.
got the oil you want and everything. I mean, pretty. Oh, nice. It's like, you know.
The car's ruined.
This trailer's actually really nice too.
Yeah.
It's got a
It's
fridge
pretty
in
much
it, dude.
Every single part in this car you can get information for.
I know it's nothing, but look at the shelves. The shelves are like English walnut. Okay, no, I'm not kidding. This is English walnut, hand finished English walnut.
Oh, whoa.
You got
Like
you got a fridge too.
Yeah, it's got a fridge and all
This
this.
is too nice for us.
no, we can't accept this.
Well, Will and I, we've slept in this thing plenty of times. No, you go to the
awesome.
track the night before,
Yeah.
you pull the car out, you throw down a mattress, and you go to bed.
That's amazing.
Yeah. No, it's pretty great.
Yeah,
it
because
works well for us.
Yeah.
Oh, are you giving him this thing?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
oh wow,
Yeah,
my helmet
so-
has it.
Do you know how to use one of these?
Yeah.
Do you have one?
My helmet's compatible for it, but I don't have one.
Okay, then I'm gonna give this to you.
I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
It's so basic, this thing.
I know.
It's almost like you smile at it and go, really?
Yeah,
there's a
and for
pedal.
me, it's like all I can do is complicate it. Like that's what's really the truth of the matter is that like
true,
modern electronics, all that sort of stuff actually adds more.
Turbo.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff would just make more failure points.
Like if you ever go to a famous track where people have driven this car at,
Yeah.
and you'll look up their lap times,
Yeah.
and it's gonna crush your heart. Like
Yeah.
I know when I put down, I was like, oh, this is a heater lap.
Yeah.
I looked up these records, and I mean these guys are 15 seconds faster than me. This car has so much potential that I never discovered. So
I'm like that meme where the guy's like, yeah, pouring champagne on himself, and then you're in like 5th place. Like that's
no, literally. Hey, but you know, pour
Yeah.
It's
champagne.
gonna make you look good.
yeah.
So are you allowed to like bring this to normal track days? Or
Somehow, yes. You know,
Okay.
most of the we
you
can't
just
we can't
ask for
afford
forgiveness afterwards?
we
or-
can't afford anything other than that.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah,
as far
yeah.
as private track days.
And do it.
Pretty
It's
good.
hilarious. You didn't get it. Oh no, you almost got it. Almost got it. Yeah. Okay.
It passes the Rob test.
I
You work out? It looks like it.
I try to. Like I work out enough so I don't look fat. It's coming from a good home and going to a good home.
That's right.
Right about there.
All right, so I'm just gonna make sure nothing starts rolling anywhere.
Yep.
And you want to get in your truck and start getting
I
this thing
will
going?
get in the truck.
All right, that's it. Good. Oh, yeah. Battery. There we go.
That's great. If you want to come steal it. While we're still here, I can't say as extreme excitement as I actually have on the inside, because then they'll know that they sold it to like a fangirl. I'm geeking out right now. This is absolutely incredible. Far beyond, honestly, we were all kind of joking about it. This is far beyond those sort of like luxuries that we've ever had at the track. We're always renting U-Hauls, and to even have like a mini fridge, even if we never use it, like to see that in there, like that's so cool. That is so badass. And so this situation is when you meet good people, and both parties are just good people, the coolest things happen. Just the coolest things happen. And so not only did this happen, but we also made good new friends. We'll limp our way back to the shop and then pause, stare at it, just like I stare at the Ford
I think
every
you
day.
gotta take it for a little lap.
Yeah. And then review
Take it for a
what
lap.
we did. What we did. Go drive it. For you guys, it's like a moment later. For us, obviously, it's nighttime and later on in the day, so it's like fresh again. Yep.
Still there.
We're the fine purveyors of bad decisions.
I don't get what the purpose of the curtains are for, but I like it.
You know what? Maybe when they. Oh, you know what would be nice about having that curtain? Well, I guess you have the door on the side. Does it say have the curtain down, sun, and then like the air conditioning unit or whatever they were talking about?
Well, I guess if you have that you get a little bit of privacy, but airflow.
Yeah, that's true too. I think I'm in love with how easy it is to like get this car in and out. That part is super exciting. I think I'm gonna have a harder time starting the car than getting it out of here.
Yeah, that's okay.
That is,
We're here for the adventure. Let's see how good your memory is.
yeah. There we go. Nice. the history of this car is really exciting for me. But I think Joel's right. We need to fire it up to get it in.
Hey, we told Isaiah he could bring his car in without it running. So
Yeah, it's only fair.
first, you got to get this guy out of the way. Where are you gonna move it?
Yeah.
Getting in the spaceship.
All this stuff's way too nice for me. I'm actually more intimidated to fire this up than the 4-rotor.
Ooh, it's your first time sitting.
This
in
is my first time sitting in it. Do I even fit in it?
Oh, I didn't even know it did that.
I assumed. I saw the car flash. The
Yeah,
dash
the
is like an
dash
LCD.
turns on.
Yeah, look at the dash is like LCD. F rear. Oh, why is both sides 64%? My hips don't fit in that seat. Oh man, your feet go under that? Yeah, they go under the steering rack.
That's so funny.
Okay.
How's the clutch feel? Clutch and brake. Brake seems firm.
What's funny is the top part of my hips don't fit, and as soon as I get into the bottom of it, then I'm
Locked in.
whoa. It's more up. You're sitting up way higher than the
IndyCar.
IndyCar. Way
Yeah,
up.
because you're like laying down in the IndyCar.
Yeah, in the
right?
IndyCar you're way back. It's actually much easier.
You look good.
It feels right.
This really looks like the baby brother to that car because the color scheme and everything.
Yeah, I feel way more scarily open than the IndyCar. But you can see that there's a roll bar inside of here. You see this?
Oh, whoa.
So that's what you hit there, and you hit up here, and that's gonna,
Protect
on a
you,
flat
kind of.
surface, that's what's keeping me safe. Ignition is on, that's on. Gotta love rotaries. That is the first time in my life I have ever killed a rotary using fuel. Holy shit.
That looks so sick.
It is everything you think it looks like and feels like. That's the first time I've ever driven an open wheel car. I turned, this went, just shot tons of crap right into my face. I was like, okay, fair game, fair
How's
game.
the handling? Like super tight?
Oh, I came into this, and we're a cold whatever, and I came into the parking lot on this side, it idle drives first gear. You saw me, it was me not giving it gas.
Wow.
That's what idle's at. So first gear's tall. I just let it do that, and it said 40. I don't know what it was doing, but I don't know if it was 40 miles an hour or whatever. But I just went up that curve and then just yanked it, and the
Yeah,
car.
it should have been around the corner. But
Yeah,
That was so sick.
I'll do that. We'll go around that corner. I need a helmet.
Yeah.
I need goggles.
I'm gonna put a GoPro on you too. Though.
Yeah, film right there. So
Oh, whoa.
yeah, there's my helmet.
That's crazy. My haircut looks good.
Wow, the 4-rotor looks so sick from right here. At this low angle.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Very weird steering, very reactive, but also like if you don't react, it's very soft. It's a very weird. I'll learn more about that.
This thing starts like a charm, though. I was impressed.
That was weird.
squirrely that second time?
It spun out.
That was
The tires
sick.
that was hilarious. I was like, well, shit. You could just feel the softness and the coldness of the tires, but that was me pushing it to its limits on cold tires. I guarantee they're cold.
Yeah, they're cold.
Yeah, it was.
They're a little warmer, but
That was hilarious.
Dude, you were going quick around there.
You can snap your direction very quickly on that thing, and it also carries momentum in a weird way. I'm going to be learning a lot about this car because, like I said a second ago, it both quick jerks, but then also if you're not putting a lot of input in, but you're still moving the same distance, it doesn't turn as hard.
Whoa.
It's like if I do this, the car jerks, but if I do this, the car's doesn't turn as
Doesn't
much.
like it.
It's weird. It's really fascinating. I don't know if it doesn't like it. It's just a different experience. But holy shit, this thing is fun. I am going to learn a hell of a lot. It shows you how terrifyingly fast you can get out of control with open wheel cars, and that's why I needed to get this thing. My God, my hips. My hips do not lie. We'll have to fix the inner seat part of that. Because look at this. Look at this right here.
Yeah, it's meant for a skinny boy.
Yeah.
You're a grown man.
Yeah, I'm a grown-ass man. Once I'm in there, it's okay, but, in the case of a fire or something, I'm screwed.
Yeah. And I'm sure the Hans makes it super even harder for your, neck and whatnot.
Like twisting to get out.
Yeah.
Holy shit, this is incredible. It's cheating. It is straight up cheating. But look at this. This is our first vehicle with an onboard fire system. That's something I noticed immediately. This is probably... If you care about my well-being and my ability to learn as quick as possible and to carry the rotary flag even further, this is it. This is it right here. Here is what it looks like to be in the driver's seat here. The steering wheel is removed, but you have this old school looking dash, and then importantly enough, starter, ignition, fuel system, which we can probably turn that back down, rain, which we haven't figured out what rain mode is yet, and I'm going to assume that this is the fire suppression system between my legs. I'm not going to test that. I don't know what that's not a button. So maybe that's a temperature sensor towards me. And then you have front and rear brake bias. So you rotate that to send more braking power to the front or the rear, depending on what you're looking for. And then it's an H pattern shifter right here. Down here is my little screen record. It's got a little SD card in there. It's kind of a neat little setup. And of course, all the way down there is a clutch, brake, and gas. And that's all that's involved in this spot. There are lights on here that I'm trying to figure out what they mean. And there's menus and all this sort of shit all over there. Go will go. That's the previous owner right there. And so what you're seeing here is the two EGTs, so exhaust temperatures for front and rear rotors. Took a little bit to figure that one out. Water temperature, and then you start getting your lap timing, which is all built into this. Night vision, total running time. Oh, that's cool. Odometer. The car has 12,000 miles on it.
it's not bad at all.
No. This is the first time Isaiah's going to see it. Peekaboo. Okay, that's his fake O face, just so you guys know. Or you girls know, or either one, guys and girls. That's when he's faking it. No, but this is the first time he's seen it. And this is Joel and I's second time. It's really crazy.
It is wild. This is pretty much like an OEM engine. Like when I first started doing the rotary stuff, they did a lot of carbureted stuff.
If you look at a lot of this, you think of like first gen RX-7 because you've
Yes.
got distributor cap, you've got your coils, your MSD, all this like weird looking stuff for the coolant system, like this sort of square block for the oil pressure sensor switch. Here's the throttle position switch. Like it's really wild to see all this older stuff work way better than most modern things because when you think about working, you think of like reliability, not just, oh, is it the most advanced, coolest stuff ever? This stuff works, and that's important to remember when messing with this. We've got the nice little 10-gallon gas tank right here, right in the middle, so the weight doesn't change too much on one set of axles, or not, the front or rear.
Look at that big ass starter, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the starter's massive, bigger than the transmission, and then like this should be the oil cooler, and then we have two radiators. What I want to make very clear is that you can't escape heat. You can't escape heat as a percentage of the combustion. It's 30-some% of the total energy created when you ignite something in a motor. And so in this case, that's the appropriate size coolers, given the cooling and all that sort of the average temperature, the airflow. When we go to make bigger cars with more power, you still have the same amount of heat being generated proportionate to its horsepower. This thing makes whatever, under 200 horsepower. So it's important to notice that these probably keep it ice cold, but if you were to go to 1,000 horsepower, this is obviously not going to do that. So when you look at like the 3-rotor for a while, it was just like, oh, well, that's not enough cooling surface. It's not enough heat exchanging. And so like this is my favorite one, is if this is the oil cooler, that's how much cooling is needed to maintain good oil temperature on a 200 horsepower motor. A lot to learn there. Of course, if you're a street driving car, you never get to the point where you're heat soaking the motor. So it's just something that I was thinking about on my drive. That's like the proven amount of cooling, nothing more, nothing less, for this amount of engine output. It's kind of easy to see both the upper and lower control arm joints. So this is where the tire turns from, bounces from, everything like that, right? This one and this one. Draw an imaginary line between the two. And you'll notice that this actually has a lot of what's called scrub radius. So the majority of the tire, if you look at where it hits the ground, the tire pivots like this. So it requires a lot more steering input, or if you hit a bump or something that like in the road, a curb, it's got this much force, this much leverage against your steering input. So generally speaking, you want it somewhere within the inch of here. Now again, that's not for open wheel cars, that's for a normal car. So when people put wheel spacers and put really wide wheels, it increases the amount of steering input. Now, what I wanted to show you is look at this angle. And this is another suspension quick thing, is that look at the center of this one, it's the center of this one, and draw a line to it. And so the line will go this way, right? You keep following it all the way back. I can promise you, without even measuring it, it goes to the center of the diff.
Yeah.
So like right in there.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah. So that's called Ackermans. Now, what Ackermans is that means that when you turn, the inner tire will turn the correct inner radius, and the outer tire will turn a softer radius. So if there's a circle 20 feet from here, you know, the center of the circle is over here, and you turn, this tire will turn the correct radius 20 feet away, and then this one's another, what, 4 feet away? It'll turn like a 24-foot radius turn. And so both tires turn to a center point located on the rear axle. So they both come to a point here, because when you're turning the car, these tires don't turn. They just deal with the situation. So you actually pretend that the center of the circle is over here, and then when you turn the tires, you just let them roll. They'll both make their correct circles. They're further away and closer from that imaginary point. So that's called Ackermans. That is excellent for mechanical steering. So what happens is this tire is turning the correct amount to not rub. It's turning the angle that it's meant to turn for that. Some of you really sharp-eyed guys notice that the 4-rotor does not fully do that. I've tried fixing it, but it requires a little bit more energy than what I did. But Indy cars do not do that. When a tire turns, there's a certain amount of slipping that generates the most amount of grip. When the tire has less weight on it, it tends to grip better at lower angles. So on an Indy car, when you have all that weight transferred to the outside, it's got a sharper angle, and the inner one that barely has weight on it or has a lot less on it doesn't turn as hard, because that's when it does its most amount of grip for the amount of weight. That's why you'll see Indy cars, and particularly F1 cars, the outer tire turns in harder than the inner tire. That's at high speeds. At low speeds, the mechanical of having the inner one turn tighter and the outer one turn loose is better. So if you're at lower speed tracks, Ackermans tends to be better. And we know this all too well. When we're pushing this car in the parking lot, if it's doing the opposite one, you can actually feel that problem that you have, that mechanical issue of the tires slipping and binding. When you turn this one, and we can right now, this tire is turning tighter than that tire, and so when you rotate the car like this, they're not fighting. It's mechanically correct.
I have a question now. Can you drive this thing around for me? I wasn't here.
No, I want to talk about it more, please.
No, I want you to get it.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to hear what it sounds like.
Yeah, but one more thing. Look at that.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Just bottomed her out.
Yeah. That damping, though, I'm going to be studying the shit out of that. Old school. Wait till it slows down. Turn on the ignition. Make sure you're not in gear.
fucking cool.
There you
dude.
go.
That's
That
fucking
is
cool.
so badass. It's so easy to tell what it's doing too. That's probably my favorite part, is the car communicating to you. You know, we figured out that those are EGTs, the bottom two numbers down there.
This is such a like simple running. There's not a whole lot of thought
Yeah.
into. I mean, there is, but not like a whole lot of effort, I guess. The effort versus fun is like badass.
Yeah, we're gonna get bored and we're gonna start tinkering. But the important part here is two things. One is that they sold us a 100% working vehicle. Two is that we can only mess it up. If we had like a Haul Tech on here, the ECU weighs next to nothing. We could minimize the amount of weight we add to the car, and it wouldn't fit spec class. Not that that's a big deal to us, but it's like we would cheat by gaining tons of power we don't need.
T25, baby.
And then on top of that, you could add a turbo.
Yeah, oh yeah, you know who JF was saying, what if you make that a vacuum car and take it up Pikes Peak? But I'm like, add the turbo, we would gain the extra power to be able to push a vacuum. That'd be crazy. Now there's a small leak occurring somewhere in the very back on top of the muffler. You saw it smoking a little bit.
Oh, he was telling us about that.
Yeah, I saw it
wasn't
just
he?
a second ago as I came out of it. But holy shit, so much fun.
Yeah,
it's so much fun.
It doesn't sound bad either. It
No.
honestly doesn't sound bad. Good purchase. Good
Yeah,
purchase.
thank you. Yeah, look, it's still side port. There's no semi-P, there's no full P. Pretty straightforward engine to fix and repair.
I got a P for it.
So you can see it's wearing, like, just from our street driving like that, but when you start turning harder, it's going to wear out here more. So it's kind of funny that the car is set up
I
for
was
some
watching,
high.
you can see when you're going back and forth on this last time, you
Yeah.
can see the middle of the tires get clearer and clearer.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because look at, you can see with us not pushing the car hard, this section of the tire is not being used. As soon as you start putting that G-force sideways on this thing, even if you don't have the tires cambered or anything, the tire naturally deforms from the force acting on it. Absolutely fascinating. Funny that we're working backwards. We buy a massive Indy car. We have a 1,500, 1,600 horsepower four-rotor, and then we're going backwards to like an FSAE style vehicle. Next thing we're gonna do is start getting the baby go-karts.
One thing I was scared of for having the Indy car is that's such a, like we were talking about, you have to go fast in that car. There's no, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. You have to know what you're doing, and this is really, really honestly a perfect step because like low risk, high reward. You get to learn a lot. It's a rotary, so it's right up our alley. So like we're gonna have way more fun with it. And then once obviously he's comfortable with this, we could actually moss down at a 900 horsepower badass built fucking monster. So
Yeah,
this is actually
he's right. This is the perfect next step to then not get myself killed. And I think there's a handful of people of you that are professionals watching this, very few of you watching this going, that dude's gonna get himself killed. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to scare myself, yes, but I'm not trying to get myself killed. And I think this is like that perfect mid-ground. So in the interest of keeping this thing alive as long as we can, we are going to do a couple of different things that I've always been curious about something this size. First of all, we're gonna weigh it, see the scales, front to back, side to side, all of those sort of things. And then do all fluid changes, make sure that everything's looking good there. We're getting this thing ready for a track day. This has been one of the best things that I've ever been given. It was a used set from Proform, but oh my God, it is heaven to me. I'm very certain that this thing is rear weight bias, like big time. There's the whole motor in the back.
You can feel it.
Yeah, I just deadlifted the front of this, and I'm not a deadlifter. I'm gonna go ahead and fire this thing up and zero these out before I set the car back on them. Otherwise, it'll zero out. We're gonna go ahead and drop the front, and even without the front aero, this is still super light.
Whoa. It's pretty balanced.
Yeah, that's both surprising and not surprising at all. Okay, so that would
200.
Okay, so gain whatever, 10, 20 pounds right there. This car should be 50-50 side to side without a driver in it. That's the whole point, it's a center seating car. Whereas normal cars will have an offset. This car's really light, that's why I'm taking very little safety precautions. Any final guesses?
I'm gonna say 1,500 without you in there.
Okay, I'm gonna guess 1,200.
Alright. Wow. You got me beat there.
Really?
It's less than 1,200.
Oh, no
it's
way.
Basically.
1192, that's amazing. Well, there you go. We put the rear fiberglass piece back on, and this is the car wet at 1,200 pounds, almost exactly. It's interesting that we're 63% weight in the rear So we'll see what happens once I jump in the car.
What's your guess?
It was 1,200. I'm gonna say 14 even.
A little under 14.
Okay, so I weigh less than 200 pounds.
Good for you.
Yeah. So what's really interesting to me is that it is still 60% weight in the rear. I was expecting the driver to add more to the front, not 50-50, but because look at that, we're talking 40% almost exactly in the front. Left and right balances are very close. Like we're talking, you could add 2 pounds, you know, that sort of stuff.
That's perfect.
Yeah, 1,400 pounds with me in the car.
1,400 pounds, 180 horsepower.
Yeah.
How's that? I don't know the math.
So the simplest concept is that we take like closer to a stock FD, which is double that without the driver in there. It's like a 360 horsepower, 2,800 pound car.
Wow.
What you see here is this is 20% almost exactly. That's 19% almost exactly. So this side is higher weight than that side, okay? On the rear, this is almost exactly 30% and this is 31%.
Oh, wow.
So what you notice is that these two sides are heavier than these two. All you do is you would, if this was your only problem, right, you would actually heighten the suspension on these two, and it's like a wobbly table. These two legs getting longer put more weight on them. So you can do that cross balancing where you actually make these taller or make these shorter, and it has to balance on all 4 tires like a table. And so you actually end up putting more weight on the lower weight corners. You can't do it side to side. You can only do it cross. And in this case, this would be a perfect example where if you took weight off of these two and put on these two, you'd have almost exact weight balance side to side. So really impressive, kind of cool concept. But you can only transfer weight in an X shape. These two can only transfer weight to these two. This thing is a rotary, which means it is no stranger to compression. And rotaries certainly do last a lot longer just because of their nature. They'll go for 300,000 miles if treated right. But this is still a race car. And I need to know what compression numbers are on this thing. Nice and simple to get to. We'll just do one side at a time. Look at that. Pitch black. That's actually really interesting. Now these are 11s, so they actually are pretty cold, but those are trailings. Trailings can be cold. I'm curious what they use for
leading.
So the leading are also 11s. Very interesting. So they expect the engine to get pretty hot, but look at all that. This is normal gas. This isn't ethanol, and so you're always going to get a lot of crud on it. Generally good sign is that they both look the same, but I don't think that that's a good thing. They're both just completely coated. So we'll clean them up, make sure they look pretty much gapped the same, but we'll just clean them up, make sure everything's all good. But now we can do the compression test. So Joel was saying 90s?
I said, yeah, I did say 90s.
And I said 80s.
That was way on.
Yeah, that is way on.
I forgot about
correction. Yeah, so we're looking at 96, 96, 93.
It's so slow compared to our other
Yeah,
starters.
everything that we do.
Yeah.
Here's rotor 2. Yeah, all 100s. That's pretty exciting that we're in 90s and 100s. The vehicle we just bought.
So weird that I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I was telling Will, I was like, yeah, I want this car to be broken, but it lives. I was just leaning down, pulling out the tester. I was like, man, it doesn't make sense that they're using 11s on an NA rotary. And I realized this is a CDI ignition system. This is actually a race ignition system, and the spark plug itself can end up holding more heat. They're running colder plugs because even the ignition system can get the plug pretty hot. General rule of thumb, that doesn't always apply, but in this case, it must because they're running 11s all the way across. No, we haven't ran the car recently. You can hear it making tons of noises.
Yeah.
It looks like we got low coolant, because that should have coolant in there. Yeah, so it would have blown on the track, or at least, I mean, it's NA, it can handle quite a bit of heat before it overheats, but yeah, we definitely were running low on coolant.
So we pulled all the belts back. Let's take this, I see something. There's a little transponder down there.
Well, it'll at least let you slide it out more.
This motherfucker leaves the battery on 5% every time I grab the camera. Okay, then there's this one over here.
All right. Wow.
Yeah.
There's the GPS module. There's the full view of this fire extinguisher. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that's all there is. That needs to be fixed right there. And I'm gonna sit in this, and I'm pretty sure my hips hit the metal.
I'm on 3%, so you gotta hurry up.
I gotta hurry up. Oh, I guess my hips don't hit. Man, that is meant. That alone is meant for me. I'm way deeper because there's my feet finally touching the pedals, so it holds my back up quite a bit. I'm like closer to here.
Do you feel more comfortable laying down like that?
I want to be able to silver the fascia. Isaiah wants to get a kit to beanbag this shit.
So they have like polymer beads and epoxy, and you move the bag and you put it in a bag, and you actually sit in the car for an hour or two. It's actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
He's in there just vibing. But it makes everything all perfect, and there's no way he can move around.
Back here tells a whole new story. I was joking around with this line here because I have no idea what sort of fitting this is because it looks like a pressure fitting. So that's weird. So I traced this back down, and it goes to the fire suppression system. Now, it's not the only one. It tees off right in here, and then sends another one. But you better take a big breath before this fire suppression system goes and blasts you in the face, because it's going to consume all your oxygen. Oh, there it is. Look, there's the second one. And that makes sense. It's on the side of the exhaust. This is the safest vehicle we've got. And this is something that was brought to my attention by one of the Mac brothers, and I've yet to use it. It's a spark plug cleaner. So it's like a mini chamber for sandblasting. So, okay, it does come with the sand. You would put the plug in there, and then you would press this button, press the air's gonna go straight at it, and then this bag sits on top to vent all the air off of it. But then when you open this up, with the Venturi effect, all the sand, or whatever that is, goes into that hole because there's a low pressure zone through there. And so it basically sandblasts the plug. So we are going to try that. I'll just dump this bag of, I don't know what that is. Aluminum tiles? I don't know. We'll put this over. Here's what they look like right now, and I'm only gonna do one so we can get a nice before and after, but they're pretty identical right now. This is what the thread looks like. We're gonna do this one with even the dark ceramic, see if it lightens it up at all. We should see the baggie inflate. Yeah. Now if I turn this to this, oh, I can feel it. Look at,
Yeah, I see it.
oh wow! Look at it. It cleaned one side. That's why it's probably rubbery, so you can like flex it. But look at that. That's very promising. It cleaned the electrode, which is the most important part, very well. We'll probably take some brake cleaner to this. It's not perfect, but my God, the grounding strap and the tip of the electrode look excellent. That's all that matters. But we want to clean off this carbon for, you know, pre-ignition reasons. But there's rotor 1 and rotor 2's leadings. After a decent amount of airbrushing plus some brake clean, this is what rotor 1 and rotor 2 look like now. I've got my eye on rotor 2 for a variety of reasons, but it looks like rotor 2 trailing was the one that was actually getting even cruddier. It's pretty neat how clean the electrodes get. Ignore all this extra shit out here. I'm not too worried about that, although that could pre-ignite. It's the electrode touching the ground strap. That's all that matters. And so you can see that the ceramic actually cleaned up nice too. That's just visual, just more of a vanity thing. One of the strongest things that people from this era don't get enough credit for, spark plug tuning. At the end of the day, your air-fuel ratios, your EGTs, your O2 sensors, all that stuff tell you only what's happened after the ignition has occurred. When they say spark plug tuning, my first thought is that's tons of crud. That means it's running too rich or too lean, or it's the color. And those two things are important. You're actually talking about how hot the grounding strap gets. You'll actually see a line from where the metal oxidizes on the side of the grounding strap. Now, and this one's been sandblasted off, so you can't see it. You're trying to make sure that that line doesn't get so far that this whole strap is basically gonna pre-ignite. But you're actually watching how hot the combustion is getting relative to the grounding strap. We're gonna throw these back in. So we'll take this off and just take a look at the distributor points. Those are all the points that touch, and that must be, I wonder if those are multiple sparks. Spark, 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 spark. That's kind of cool. This capacitor is built into this, and then these are the coils that turn it into like a spark, essentially. And so there's two of them here, I'm going to guess, for leading and trailing. So a center unit and this unit here.
I wonder if that's to compensate for, you know how you said on the 4-rotor you had to have 2 boxes?
Yeah.
That's like their old school way of doing that?
This is a very creative way of doing things. Like, it doesn't come across straightforward and simple. So one of the coils has to be for trailing, one of them has to be for leading. So this coil here sparks anytime it's grounded basically through the spark plug. Now that one goes to the very center point here, so it's always live on that center point, and that center point goes to these two. This coil is leading coils. This coil, on the other hand, while this one's always touching the center for the leadings, these touch, that's a trailing coil. So yeah, we have 2 coils sparking, leading, trailing, and everything looks okay. So we can just put that back on there. Now check the oil level. We're definitely over full, but I do smell gasoline in it, and it looks thin. So this is more than perfect time to use, you know, our VRR1 2050. The 2050 is a little thicker than an NA requires, but VRR1 also makes what, 1030,
Yeah.
530.
I wonder what the proper way to service this car is.
Yeah, I agree. This is a very odd situation. It's so light that you can kind of get away with a lot of things. So now I have this whole Tide Pod sitting on my leg. Let's see.
Nice.
There we go. And nothing too extravagant or spectacular in here. Actually, a lot of air can get around this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They don't really have ducting.
These are very universal. You can tell that they're set up to be on either side of the car, but you could mount something to this outer side. Look at this. This is smart. This is something that Isaiah struggles with. This is venting the top of the radiator back to this main system.
I feel like the IndyCar has less cooling than this.
I agree. I feel like the IndyCar does, but it can also move way more air through the coolant. It's also not a rotary.
That's true.
Rotaries are more inefficient, but yeah, because I think the radiators on the IndyCar are maybe the same size.
And I remember you're saying like on one of them it's only 2 rows of that radiator and the rest is like trans or
trans
something?
and oil. We're going to drain the coolant from that side, purge as much of it as we can, and then refill the coolant system and never look back. Remove this. I tried cleaning all the trans fluid out of here, the gear oil.
Very watery.
Okay, with that color in mind, I don't think we're going to drain the system. I think we're just going to add to it. I was expecting a dark color with how little there was. So it's just
a good sign.
Yeah, it's a very good sign. We're going to go ahead and take a look at draining the oil now. And this is my first time of looking under the car with any of the panels off. Simple enough, the oil pan's on the other side. Very small oil pan.
Oh, wow.
Time to cut the wire. There we go. There we go. Understandably, somebody put that on too tight. Definitely going to replace this out of an overabundance of caution, because even these filters have a bypass. So if it was filled with stuff, it would bypass and just shoot that shit straight through the motor. You don't know until it's too late, so we'll just avoid that by getting a new one. Interesting things for new rotary people looking at this engine. Right here where my finger is, that is actually a coolant line that's been blocked off. I saw this, I was like, oh shit, coolant doesn't exist in this motor, but it's actually got a little like freeze plug in there. This is what goes to your heater core inside of your car, if this was a full car. So this was not necessary in this motor, so it got freeze plugged. This is a nice little change, because almost every single rotary engine I've ever worked on, that goes to the car, not just back into the system. This is literally the first like race car we have, so this is 100% perfect for this.
It looked like it was just pure water in there before too.
Yeah, it did look pretty close to that. We're gonna do half of one of these. We'll get it to the ring right here, up here, and it'll start draining into this. But we'll get it to right to that ring and see what it says.
Yeah, it's just going down.
Yeah. So it isn't all oil. It's mostly oil. So you can see, it looks like there was like good oil and bad oil mixed. It doesn't have too much. Yeah, we definitely see that's on the thinner side. But I can smell fuel off of this big time. If this was a TikTok, yeah, that's TikTok in a nutshell. I hate that so much. Here's another TikTok thing. You know, we really need to talk about oil filters. I don't need to fucking talk with you about oil filters, random dude on the internet. So you see that? That's on there. We got the bottom plug back on, we got the filter on. We'll start filling it, and we're actually gonna do what we do with the 4-rotor, and that's turn on the starter and circulate the oil through the system to get all the oil back up here. Because if you notice, both of these lines are down there. There's no way that filling this, even if you filled it to the top, it would never get back here. So it has to be pumped into there to get us to measure the correct oil level. Thankfully, he doesn't even know what he's doing. Thankfully, we have a 17-inch. We're gonna put this part in subtitles. Thankfully, we have a 17mm socket thing. So we're good.
You're just gonna not put anything under?
Well, this is a fill line.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense.
and we're leaking it, so there's a little bit of metal. Now this should be the alien jizzed on me. Thankfully, there's the Formula Mazda website, and so we're gonna order a new seal for this area. We're not gonna mess with it. We're just gonna top off the thing, but it's leaking out of here, of course, onto the exhaust. Not a fire hazard because it straight up is like one drip every so often.
Just a little annoying.
Just, yeah, more annoying than anything else. Just in case you guys have any question of where my heart's at, even when we're gonna just stick with what they used before, because I don't feel like buying more stuff at the moment.
And that would mean we'd have to drain it.
Yeah, we'd have to drain it because, you know, some fluids aren't compatible with others. Thankfully, all of Valvoline's fluids are all compatible. So like if you use, like, I don't know, say the full synthetic high mileage, you can mix it with the full synthetic VR1. Like, it's all cross compatible. See it going in.
It's about how every transmission diff fill goes for me.
Yeah. Oops.
That stuff's probably expensive too. And I say this is some of the easiest track prep we've ever done.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. We are going to be using old tried and true 2050 VR1. Now, this is not the full synthetic. This is the version that you can get at just about every place, everywhere, Walmart and so on. And we're going to be using 2050 because it is a hot place. We're in Los Angeles, and while it's not hot today, this is definitely on the thicker end, and I'm okay with that for naturally aspirated thing. We could get away with like a 040. We could get away with a lighter thing. We could even use extended protection, and we'd be in phenomenal shape here. In this case, though, I'm going to be using the VR1. If I was getting super obsessive, maybe I would cut this with like a 530 or 1030 VR1. But if I was that obsessive, I would be using the full synthetic blue version and gaining an extra, whatever, half horsepower or so, freeing up just the slightest bit more. But I just love proving how off-the-shelf oil works so well. So if you check it right after you filled it, it's going to be all up and down the dipstick, often on OEM cars. So you can see that technically it thinks that it's filled all the way up to there. It is not. So what we're going to do, we're going to turn the car on and just prime the motor. And so and let's see what oil level does. So you can see it's just right down there. So even just turning over that much emptied the entire sump. It's grotesque to me. I've got like moose knuckle. There we go.
That's what it's called?
Fupa. I got moose knuckle fupa. That's so gross. It's not me, just so you guys know. Wait, no, it is me. It is me. It is me. I got this nice and tight low just with the two straps. There are two more between my leg. They're both
Connecting to the
Connect.
bottom.
Yeah, and then there's hand straps the bondage straps that you play with, so your hands don't fly out when you roll. We got these. That's pretty.
I wonder how you get out of there quick with the wrist restraints.
The wrist
and
things, yeah.
everything.
I think that they slide off of here. The conversation right now is how fast can I get out of this car? Am I stuck in here with my childbearing hips? So we are going to time me, not in the case of rollover, because I'd be kind of stuck in here anyway, but we're going to time, there's engine fire, and I have to get out.
Yeah,
Okay.
you say go.
Yeah, Isaiah says,
All right, 1, 2, 3, go. 5.75. That's not bad.
it's a new record, baby.
He's on fire!
That's both my fastest and slowest time ever.
Good job.
So that's actually pretty damn quick to get out of. Even
That was a lot easier than I actually thought.
It'd be even easier if I had the race suit on and the race shoes, because these hook, these catch on things. But that was surprisingly fast. This little battery's been put through the test right now, so we'll see. We will use our
New drum pack.
jumper. One case where this is insanely overkill, and that's why I love it. That was such a.
That was so
It was
easy.
so cheating. It was so cheating.
Well, that proves the compression right there.
Yeah. And she's practically empty.
Oh.
Oh, she doesn't have a good breather. We're gonna make sure before the block's gotten hot enough, we'll be looking at this. Lots of air in that. So we'll top that off. The oil was looking good. We needed gas. It's that simple. And there's a gas station next door. It's better for the environment not to transport gas in a container, let some of it evaporate, and then transfer the container to here, have spillage. I worry about the dolphins nightly, so it is time to just go straight to the source and fill this car up. It's like our own little pit stop.
How much fuel do you think she's gonna drink?
I think she's running low on fuel because she would die if I turned too hard on a turn. So I'm guessing that I'm running low on fuel. That's the most illegal thing I've ever done.
No way.
Yeah. Oh. In my spirit, I feel like.
Like as far as getting in trouble from the law,
Yeah,
that's right. Ooh, I'm a bad boy.
Yeah. She does not get warm. She stays at 140. She can't warm up any more than that.
Will we putting in the 91 good stuff?
Yeah, putting the. I don't need to. It'll run better on 87. I'm gonna put 87.
Why would it run better on 87?
That's what they say in their little thing.
That's not what they say. The fact is 87 is more explosive gasoline, and that's why you don't use it on turbocharged engine, but with NA.
How's it going, guys?
Good yourself?
Good.
Like the card.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You drove here?
Yeah, well, our shop is out here, so.
Oh, you drove. Took it out the parking lot pretty much. So this is 2 to start off with, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
You wanna pour me up?
This thing's only like under 200, but I mean it weighs 1,000 pounds. So yeah. Oh, she was thirsty.
Yeah. You guys supposed to be 10 gallons?
Yeah. This feels so wrong. This is the first time I've used 87 octane
On anything.
in my adult life. Yeah.
I guess the Insight, but that
Yeah.
that doesn't really count.
So if this was super high compression or something like that, then I would be more concerned. But after it's in,
I guess there is no like real quick way to fill this up. If you're like in an endurance type thing, this isn't the car.
10 gallons on it, and it'll get you pretty far. So
car just died. The poor little battery's gone. So we're gonna do what old rotaries are good at doing and push start it. We'll go down that way and I'll just drop the clutch. Oh,
Almost.
so close. So you might have to help them.
Yeah.
I gotta get a little bit faster.
Thank you. Well, that was awesome.
Those guys were badass. Like I said it offhanded, like, hey, should we push start? Because I've pushed start my second gen many times, and as soon as like, we'll help, I was like, oh my god, these guys are badass. And so we got the speed up, and the starter doesn't have to drain the power, so you just have enough power for your spark and for everything else necessary, and it fired right up. That was so cool. Such an awesome moment. So we need to figure out what's going on with this battery. I honestly would love to put a small
Anti-gravity.
kind of let us down right now. Made for the moment, but it let us down. God, this thing's ridiculous.